She was the go-to woman, the prayer warrior, the one people always called when they needed something done. She was building the business God called her to, serving clients, raising babies, leading small group, showing up for everyone. Every to-do list got done except the one that had her name on it. And then one morning, she hit a wall. Not physically, not spiritually, but in a way that left her numb. She wasn't broken. She wasn't lazy. But she was done. That woman could have been me. Could have been you. Could be any one of us walking around with a smile on the outside while we're running on empty inside and quietly burning out. In today's episode of the Kingdom Business Revolution podcast, we're talking about a silent epidemic, especially common among Christian professional women, hidden burnout. Our special guest is a Christian psychiatrist and life coach who burned out twice while helping others prevent burnout. She's here to break down the subtle signs of hidden burnout most people miss, the spiritual and psychological dilemmas that cause it, and a powerful daily rhythm that you can start using right away to renew your mind, your body, and your soul. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by responsibilities, ever wondered, why do I feel so off when I'm doing everything God has told me to do, then this conversation is one you don't want to miss. Welcome to the Kingdom Revolution podcast, the online podcast for mamas against the mainstream agenda. We are redefining faith in online business to empower you, the Christian mama, to find and strengthen your roar, to clarify your calling so that you can create, grow, and launch a profitable, impactful, and scalable business by God's design without being a slave to social media and without sacrificing your faith and values. You know that you've been called to business and you want to do it God's way, not the world's way. A business that is based off the blueprint He put inside of you. A business by God's design, one that incorporates your testimony and inner fire to make a difference in this world. Like me, you don't mind going down a few rabbit holes, but you don't have to go down one to see that there is a war on future generations, a war on families, and a war against you, that kingdom warrior mama called to business, a war to silence your voice and movement. I believe your online business is your battlefield. It's how you get to show up and use that voice to create kingdom wealth and take back what the enemy has stolen. You have that inner fire to change your family's legacy, to take your passions, knowledge, life experiences, or even that hobby that you love and create an online business, bringing a heavenly solution down to an earthly problem. Maybe you have too many ideas. You're not even quite sure where to start. Or maybe you've been struggling for a few months, even years, duct taping it all together with worldly tactics and strategies that are just leaving you confused, overwhelmed, and questioning your calling. If that's you, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm your host, Kristen Duranci. I'm a wife, mama, ex-9-to-5er, and daughter of the King. I am a mama against the mainstream agenda who is using her voice and her online business to fight against the evils going on in today's world. I believe God is calling women back into position to a kingdom revolution, to the battlefield, to find and strengthen their voice, to stand firm for biblical truth, to be the change they want to see in this world. My mission battlefield? Restoring the family unit the way God intended, to bring mamas home so that they can be the one raising their warriors for the kingdom while making impact and income. So join me each week as I dive into honest conversations about my journey, tactical tips, spiritual and mindset strategies, along with the step-by-step plan to empower you to take that step of faith, to partner with God, to create, build, and launch an online business by His design without being a slave to social media. So if you're ready to say yes to all of this, you're not afraid to rock that status quo and be part of a kingdom revolution, then armor up with Ephesians 6 and put on the full armor of God, because you are a warrior for the kingdom, and He is going to use you and your online business to do some pretty amazing things here on this side of heaven. Hey, welcome back to the Kingdom Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Kristen Taranji. And in today's conversation, we have an amazing special guest as we talk about an important topic among Christian women professionals, business owners, and you mamas trying to do all the things. Burnout, specifically hidden burnout. Our guest will help us understand the concept of what this hidden burnout is, those subtle, often unrecognized signs that indicate we're heading towards exhaustion before it becomes full-blown. We'll explore the common dilemmas unique to Christian professionals and servant leaders that can lead to burnout, how to recognize these warning signs, and you will walk away with practical, actionable strategies to prevent burnout before it happens. Whether you're a ministry leader, a professional, an online business owner trying to live out your faith in the workplace, or simply feeling the weight of balancing multiple responsibilities, today's conversation will provide valuable insights to help you move forward from burnout to joy and from overwhelm to purposeful impact. I am so thrilled to welcome Dr. Ioana here with us today. She is going to help us discover what this hidden burnout actually looks like and how we can prevent it. So welcome. I am so thankful to have you as a special guest speaker today. How are you doing?
I am doing well, Kristen. Thank you so much for having me here. You're on a mission and I love what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And we are going to talk about an important topic. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about who Dr. Ioana is and why is this topic so important to you?
Well, thank you so much, Kristen, for this question. I mean, I've started, as a Christian, very excited, very enthusiastic, wanted to give, wanted to serve. And like many of your listeners, full of talents and gifts and wanted to just serve. And I had this idea in my mind that if I just pray, doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep going. Somehow God is going to help me. Now, mind you, I'm in the space of psychology. I'm a physician psychiatrist, which turned into a life coach. I did education. I did teaching, middle school, high school, and college and spiritual care training. And through life, what I realized is that I was missing something. So here I am in the space that deals with these issues and I burn out twice. Like, hello. And it's not for the lack of knowledge, but it's hard to tell it from when it happens from inside out. Mind you, burnout, even as a definition, it started more in the occupational field. It was something about workplace and not a great fit between the employee and the workplace and whatnot. But now, especially after COVID, it's such a common term because we experience that. And having me experience this twice and knowing that it didn't come with bells and whistles, I realized that I was on a mission I have to help other women do that. If I'm in the field and I'm experiencing this, how much more others who are not? And my dilemma, Kristen, was this. On one hand, when I needed help, I either found Christian help, right, from spiritual leaders, which are awesome, but they were kind of violating sometimes psychological and scientific laws, like there's a way our mind works, our emotions are working and thoughts, and vice versa. I asked for help from a secular world. I worked in a secular world as well as a psychiatrist and therapist, and I've looked for help, but they were violating spiritual laws. And I'm like, and I couldn't find the blend. And in my circle, in my ecosystem. So I thought, I'm just going to bring it together. And especially during COVID, when most people stayed home, we're all locked, and some of people were online. Like my husband, he's a chaplain. He went to the hospital and saw all the difficult situation, was always on call, and others were stuck. And I had a friend, he was a physician. He said, can you please help somehow? And this is where I developed my renewal blueprint. I'm like, there must be a way that we can regenerate and we can find to prevent this, because there are subtle signs, which I'm happy to go over them. And nonetheless, when it happens, we need to always quickly bounce back. So this is kind of what happened to me.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I love how you said that you help other women go through this and recognize it and get over that burnout, or recognize it before it happens, but then here yourself went through it. And God is, I think everyone can resonate that's listening, is that God-given genius zone, that area that he wants us to make an impact on this side of heaven, he takes us through these lessons and peeling back these onion layers so that we can step into the next level that he's called us to be, so we can help those that we're called to serve. So
I love what
that.
you said. I love
Yeah.
what you said, Kristen, because I was like, how we can get sometimes into complaining, God, why can I find the help needed? And I'm like, okay, maybe it's time. Instead of complaining, I need to do something about it. So, yes.
Yes, yes. And you created a system around it and a blueprint around it. I love that name, the Renewal Blueprint. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that is? That really perked my ears when I heard that.
Yes. So what I've noticed is that most people, most of us, and especially Christian women, because our dilemma is, I want to give, 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 give. And then we put ourselves last on the list.
Mm.
And then in time, the better you are as a Christian woman, the more people are going to come to you, the more opportunities you're going to have, the more you're going to want to help in work, at home, in a ministry, a church. Anyway, so what happens, we have too many balls in the air and we're overriding ourselves. And what I realize is because the symptoms are so subtle, they're not symptoms. Burnout is not a psychiatric diagnosis, by the way. And mind you, the symptoms of the hidden burnout are not even really symptoms. I've realized that we need to regenerate every day. And we need to do this on a systematic way. So in my renewal blueprint, I have a program, Renewal in Action. I walk people through it. It's a simple framework, but it has many layers. The framework is this. We want to regenerate 4 times a day. We don't think twice about drinking water or eating, right? So we want to do it 4 times a day, morning, midday, afternoon, and night. And that kind of follows also our prayer life, right? We want to continue to do that. But also, I think the key that's missing for most of us, we think about prayer and spiritual renewal, but how about learning how our mind works, our our thoughts laws, so to speak? How about emotional laws? And how do we regenerate that as well? So my framework is 4 times a day, but also body, mind, heart, and soul. So we do those check-ins in the morning. I call it prepare for giving. In the middle of the day, stay in flow. How do we do that? Body, mind, heart, and soul. How do we separate at the end of the day? Because we don't want to bring work in our family, especially if we're working at home, right? How difficult is that?
Right.
Yeah, by the way, hello, now I'm going to the kitchen. And then how do we regroup at night? So that's kind of the blueprint in a nutshell.
Amazing. Oh my goodness, listeners. I hope you are taking tips and writing this down, because this is going to complement so powerfully into what I like to call having your business meetings with your Heavenly Board of Directors and going to your Holy Spirit Chief Operating Officer throughout the day to get your daily action steps for your online business. So it complements so nicely. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Amen. Kristen, I love what you're doing. That's it. God is our CEO. Absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes. So you talked a little bit about those common dilemmas of we try to do all the things. What are a few more of these common dilemmas that Christian women in online business, these moms, these 9-to-5ers, we're trying to do all the things. What are some other dilemmas? And then you keep using that term hidden burnout. Tell us what that is.
Yeah. So let me start with the dilemmas. And I wanted to name that many of them are so ingrained in our culture. And it's kind of like the ocean that we live in, and we take them for granted. But we want to challenge that, because one of them is this: I have to say yes to all requests and needs of others. Otherwise, I'm selfish. Like, if you're a listener here, how many of do you feel that? Yes. And even intellectually, we know we need to take care of ourselves. There's still this nagging feeling that we're selfish. So it's good to remember that even Christ paused, separated from his healing ministry, and went to the desert and went to really regenerate. And if I like to say, if Christ is God and man and he was doing that, how much more us mortal, we're finite beings. We need to plug in all the time, body, mind, meaning thoughts, and heart and emotion. So that's the first dilemma. Another one is we have to fix and help, otherwise something bad will happen for others. And mind you, sometimes that's the case. So in groups in general, some people have the tendency to jump in and help and volunteer, and some people are like, man, just gonna wait. And it's good to be able to wait, right? We can allow ourselves to allow we give a gift for others to volunteer. And it happened to me a couple of times when I had to actually leave my job. I just felt, oh my goodness, no one else is going to be able to do it. And then I thought, okay, this is a kind of another way of pride, right? Like, hello, I am replaceable. You know what I mean? And people can do my job probably even better. So it starts with that, to realize that, do I really need to fix? Can I really trust that the other person will gonna, jump up and really rise to the occasion? And the last one that I wanted to name is that many times we get into this dilemma that I don't have to regenerate today. I don't have time. It's too busy. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it over the weekend. I'll wait for vacation. And guess what many times happens? That gets interrupted. Number one, I mean, how many times we have this grand plan for vacation or the weekend, and then when it happens, it's like, oh my goodness, everything turns upside down. So we don't want to postpone. And the reason for that is that in our inner consciousness, on our inner personal experience, existential experience, tomorrow never exists. It's a construct in our mind, but when the actual tomorrow comes, it's another now moment. So if we start constantly pushing our self-care and regeneration tomorrow, we avoid actually and get into the habit of not doing it today. So I want to encourage the listener. I love to call this mini vacations every day. Like, create that sense of mini vacation, put a timer, 10 minutes, and do whatever you want. It doesn't matter what it is. And if you can do it even several times in the day, you'll be surprised how that pressure cooker, like, oh, I cannot wait for the weekend or vacation, is like, I'm just doing it today. I'm just doing it now. And it gets into that better rhythm and habit.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I love that mini vacation. And
Yes.
I know a lot of women can definitely resonate with some of those common dilemmas that you talked about. And me specifically, not jumping in and trying to help or do the thing for someone. I recognize that as my little one is getting older, is that I need to let him learn how to do the thing. I don't always need to jump in and do it for him. So I love that you touched base on those. That term, hidden burnout, what is that? And how can we start to recognize that we're heading down that path?
Yes. So the hidden burnout, it's a term that I coined because we don't know when it happens, but there are some subtle signs, and I want to go back to them and just kind of list them and see if you're listening, if you resonate with any of them. Because when I sense them, even now, so I've been applying my renewal blueprint now for 5 years, and it's flexible. So if I have a lot of time, I can regenerate. If I don't have time, I can do it really in short bursts of time. And it has helped me and brought me back on track over and over again. So it's not like I don't experience them. I do. And when I sense them, I'm back with my renewal blueprint.
Yeah.
So what happens, the way that God created our body and our brain, our mind, is just absolutely amazing. I'm in awe. And I just want to give a quick story. We have trillions of cells in our bodies, and they're all super organized and synchronized. Of course, unless there's a disease, right? A disease. But in general, everything is synchronized. Now, how to get a family of 5 out in the morning, going to church, getting us to get organized. It's impossible. But
Right.
it just works so beautifully. So there's different laws, the way our bodies are connected through our nervous systems, through our hormones, that are working properly when we are not stretching it and pushing it. But what happens on a physiological level, on a body level, there are 3 phases to respond to stress. The first one is the acute stress, when we know it. Oh my goodness, something terrible happened, or we have like 20 projects we need to finish. And that is the acute phase. We know it. Sometimes it lasts for a few weeks or a give and take. But then what happens? The body is trying to adjust. God created our body in such beautiful ways. We have reserves, and we go into what's called resistance phase. In that phase, the stress hormones are shifting a bit, and all of a sudden we feel better. because these hormones are pulling energies from everywhere, and all of a sudden we can do it. But what happens, these hormones are not meant to function like this long term. And because they're using reserves from the places that we don't know. And by the way, the brain is the most sensitive organ in our body. It really responds very quickly to any shifts in energy and hormones and whatnot. So in this resistance phase, this is where we are at risk of moving towards burnout. We're not there yet because the body's trying to cope. But if we override it, and this is where we override it, if we override it, we go into actually what's called the exhaustion phase. And this is where we actually would recognize, oh, yes, I'm tired, I'm burnout, chronic stress. We might get mental health issues or physical issues, like physical symptoms out of the blue. But that middle phase, that resistant phase, that's what I like to call it the hidden burnout. Because it is hidden. And unless we recognize it when it's happening and we take the steps to avoid that, we're going to push past our limits, past our God-given limits. And then it's late. It's harder to come back. It's not impossible. I've done it and I've guided many people to come back, but it's so much easier to prevent than to actually treat. So this is really important. And in this phase, I want to name some of the hidden burnout signs. Because if you recognize them, I want you to really think through that. Sometimes you might feel like you're running behind the schedule, like it's never enough, like you can never catch up. You're like on a treadmill, right? Or here's the best one, getting sick the first few days of vacation. And we do that because in this hidden burnout, in this resistant phase, our immunity is going down. The stress hormones are working over time and they're pulling energy from everywhere. So our immunity goes down. The minute we relax, we get sick. Now, what's that for a plant to regenerate, right? When we get sick.
Yeah, I never knew that. That happened to me a few times. So that's interesting to know.
Yeah, it happened to me many times. Or feeling like we don't want to come back from the weekend and we might have Sunday night blues, or from a retreat and vacation. Oh my goodness, all the emails, what do I want to do? So that is a sign. It's a subtle sign, right? We might have difficulty relaxing, or even might feel decision fatigue, or feeling like inner blocks to sense of peace. So this is what I've noticed in myself and in others. If you're starting noticing that your prayers are dry, so to speak, that you cannot even unwind from your mind when you have time to relax, or if you're sitting and you're praying and you feel so blocked and feeling bad, this is a sign that, okay, so we need to shift something here, because what's going to happen, the worst thing you want to do as a Christian woman is to realize, to start thinking, oh, I must not be a good Christian. I'm a bad Christian. What's happened to me? Everyone else is doing well, because guess what? No one posts on Facebook they were burnout.
Right.
Everyone is like, oh, I'm doing great. Right. So we started doubting, inner critic, imposter syndrome. So things like that, we need to just pause. Hey, is this really what's happening? Because actually, guess what? You love Christ more than anything in this world. Right. So those are some of the things that are happening, including daydreaming, overeating. All of a sudden, you're feeling really good with your eating habits, and all of a sudden overeating, or scrolling too much on social media, or check on the news, things that don't actually regenerate, but it feels like it's impossible for us to stop.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for sharing those, because those are hidden burnouts and the symptoms that most people don't even recognize or aren't even aware of. So thank you so much. And listeners, once again, you amazing women of God, definitely be taking notes on this, because we don't want to get to that point where we have the burnout and we're stressed and we're sick and we're yelling at our family and yelling at our kids because we have pushed ourselves way too much further than what God has actually ordained for our bodies.
Yeah. And when it happened to me, Kristen, when I was burned out, I remember distinctly a period of time where I all of a sudden didn't like my job. I started doubting that I'm even good. This was, if I'm good at teaching or whatever I'm doing, I could not relax. I would sit on a Sunday and I don't know what to do with myself. I would my mind will keep going. I would walk, like, it's just not a comfortable place, and we can prevent it. It's so much easier to prevent than to treat, so to speak, as they say in medicine. And I want to encourage us that, yes, our culture is pushing us, to be successful, to do this, to do that. But ultimately, God, we're doing everything for the kingdom.
Yeah.
And having that kingdom perspective, like God loves us unconditionally. God loves you. God loves what you're doing. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And guess what? God is going to fill in those gaps where we cannot do it. And we can pause a bit sooner to really ask for God's intervention so that we can rest every day, so that we can feel regenerated and joyful and energetic.
Yes, it's so important. It is. So we can make that impact we're called to make on the side of heaven. In whatever season of life that we're in, we're called to be in that mom season of life and raise that warrior for the kingdom, or that business building season of life so that we can have impact and income. So we talked about what hidden burnout is. We mentioned some of the symptoms that are there so we can start to recognize that. And we know that we can use your tips and get in contact with you if we want to go through that renewal blueprint and your program to help us. What are some other holistic habits and ways that are essential for us to prevent that burnout, but also really achieve our highest potential and what we're called to do here on this side of heaven?
Such a great question. Such a great question. I think in general, habits, daily rituals are really the seeds for the future. And I'm not the only one saying this. I mean, it is a psychological and also, Christian faith, right? We're reminded about that. So I want us to start thinking about what I do today, the way I live my life is going to impact in the future. And it starts from inside out. So as we connect with God, as we tap into our, what psychology calls resourceful states, feeling that sense of peace, feeling that sense of gratitude, feeling that sense of joy, it helps us balance. See, our nervous system, there's a few layers to that. We can be into fight or flight and go, 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 or we can be into more relaxing kind of nervous system. And what's interesting and what really prompted even my program is to think that there are research showing that we can live, instead of being on all the time, off all the time, which is the problem. We can do this every day. We can shift and we can be in both systems, so to speak. That's why I love the word renewal in action. I can be in action and give to God and at the same time renew. And I think one of the most important psychological function that is somehow overlooked in our Christian faith has to do with awareness. And, in the Eastern traditions, like meditation and mindfulness, they're very aware. But for my brain, is like God is everywhere, feeling all things. He created our brain in the same way. What is that mindfulness? That mindfulness is the sense of contemplation. I'm mindful of myself. I'm aware that I'm aware that I'm aware that I'm aware.
Yeah.
Who am I without my roles, my functions, my past, my future? And it's at that state of awareness and consciousness where we can really connect with the living waters of God. So when Christ talks with the Samaritan woman, just that living water, there's a space when we tap in. So as a tip and as a habit, to round it all together, is if we spend some time in silence, if we spend some time in contemplation, and just, unhook from thoughts for a few minutes, from feelings, from body sensations. And I actually have a program, Wake Up to Your Soul, where I walk people daily to do this. Because it is a practice and it is a habit. But as we connect with that, the living waters at the awareness level, even just for a few minutes a day, it does wonders, because all of a sudden we have more access to God's thoughts. We have more access to that peace, and we can nurture it. So I many times we think of big goals, big things to do, but I like to think, let's take some small steps every day, so small that you cannot fail. And it starts with that integration and alignment, especially through your awareness, through what we might call in Christianity, your soul, your spirit. And if you do that every day, you will see changes, not right away, but it's incremental shifts that happen through the time. So take courage. Small steps are so valuable, so valuable. And we don't want to neglect them. And you're busy. You're super busy doing lots of things as a listener. Just take some small steps and connect with God that way. And the silence, I would say, Kristen, is something, and in contemplation, is something very powerful that will impact and get us centered.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, it is. And those small steps and things you do every day are the building blocks to your destiny and the impact that you are going to make. And I love that you said that silence is so powerful, because it is. That's where we can tap into our Holy Spirit wisdom and hear from the Lord and all of that stuff. This has been absolutely amazing. You have a resource for our listeners. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yes. So the daily renewal template, I've talked about the renewal blueprint, and I realize some of you might not be ready to just jump right in. If you go to my website, teamforthesoul.com, you see all the programs that I have for Christian women, burnout prevention, things like that. But you might be saying, I don't have time for this. Listen, I just have 10, 15 minutes. That's about it. So there's a nice handout while I walk you through the renewal blueprint. It's like a template of it, morning, midday, afternoon, and night. So you can just start already weaving together what are your habits and routines, just really quickly. What can you do in the morning and all this the times of the day? And then I have also visualization practice. So once you do it, what I love to do a lot is to help us train the subconscious, because our conscious mind can do so much, but our subconscious is the one that holds the habits, that kind of seals the deal, so to speak. So as you do that, as athletes, you use visualization all the time. So as you do that visualization practice, it kind of helps you to get that routine in place. And then you have something to start right away.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for that resource. I'm definitely going to go grab that as well. So you can get that in the show notes and connect with Dr. Ioana anywhere that she has on her YouTube, her podcast, her website. All the links will be below in the show notes. Well, Dr. Ioana, this has been absolutely amazing. I thank you so much for your time today, and I'm honored to have you as a guest on this podcast.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Such a wonderful work you're doing. I love your ministry, and thank you for having me. Such a joy to know you. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it for today, friends. Real quick before you go, if this podcast has blessed you in some way, the number one way that you can thank me is to leave a written review over on Apple Podcasts. The second thing you can do is take a screenshot of this episode or that review and tag me over on social media in your stories at Kristen Duranci. And then I will share you in my stories and give you a shout out. This not only blesses me, but you are creating a ripple effect by getting this message into the hands of others that might need to hear it. And know that there's only one you. Someone is out there waiting to hear from you. They're waiting for your message, your story, and your solution to their problem. You are the expert they're waiting to hear from. I want you to know this, feel this, and most importantly, be this. Never underestimate the impact and power that you have been given through the Holy Spirit. Be blessed, friend, and I'll see you on the next episode.